Hey, what's up, sports fans? Duncan here. I know I'm wearing a football jersey, but I'm here to talk a little bit of basketball. There's a lot of conversation about who the best player of all time is. You're starting to hear it more and more. LeBron versus Jordan, Jordan versus Kobe. You're hearing that whole conversation all over again. So I figured it'd be a great time to give my top 15 of all time. So let's start with number 15. I went with Reggie Miller. Simply put, they called him Miller Time for a reason. It's a guy that, I don't think there was anyone more clutch. You're down by 6, 7 points. This is a guy that hit 3 3-pointers to win a game in the NBA playoffs in less than like a minute. Okay, and he made a career of that. If you look up like some of the stats and look at the highlights, very few players had the impact in the NBA that Reggie Miller had. He was loved by Indiana. He was a Pacer for life, and quite honestly, he's easily the number 15 of all time. Number 14, I have a guy that's a little bit more team-related. I went with John Stockton. The reason being is because very few players could dish out a pass like Stockton. He impacted the game defensively. He could pass all over the court. He shot threes like you wouldn't believe. And he's down in the record books. The only problem with Stockton is he really didn't win any titles, so that's kind of hard to put him in the top 10. And then at number 13, I have Hakeem Olajuwon. Okay, Hakeem the Dream. Here's a guy, he played on a loaded Houston Rockets team, won a few championships, went back-to-back. He's one of the top centers to ever play the game. He was known for not only scoring, but blocking everybody's shots. I mean, he was almost unstoppable in the paint. And easily one of the top players in the league. But still outside the top 10. At number 12, I have David Robinson, the Admiral. Okay, David Robinson was one of those pros. He just showed up every night. He did what he had to do. He scored points. He got rebounds, played defense, and just simply never missed a game. He plugged in every night, and that alone is enough to make him a top player in the league. He also managed to pull a couple championships and kind of mold that position into a quicker, stronger, more aggressive, athletic position. So that's why he's easily in there. At number 11, just outside the top 10, I have a guy by the name of Scottie Pippen. The reason I put Scottie Pippen outside of the top 10 is he won the rings that Jordan did. He sat right next to Jordan, and he acquired a lot of stats at the same time. He was one of the top defensive players in the league, and he carried the game when Jordan was out. Very few people will recognize Pippen as an all-time great, but he really was. And he was probably one of the best sidekicks any NBA team has ever really seen. So now with that said, let's go to the top 10. At number 10, I got Oscar Robertson. Okay, Oscar Robertson, he was around he was Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant before that era even came around. He was easily one of the most athletic shooting guards to ever play the position, still to this day. He was known for taking games over. He was known for basically getting the Mamba mentality at the end of games to win. And he was, like I said, he was the original Michael or Kobe before we even knew what that was. So that's why he pulled out number 10. Number 9, I had Jerry West, the NBA logo. You can't go to 8 straight NBA finals back when it was unheard of and not be the logo. At one point, he held so many statistics in the NBA, it was unheard of. He was the face and still is the logo of the NBA to this day. So that is a reason itself why you can't leave him out of the top 10. Which leads me to number 8. Number 8 to me is LeBron James. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking he could be easily one of the greatest of all times. But the problem is he's only won 3 rings. He's been there 9 straight times, which is a feat of its own. But he's right behind Jerry West in the fact that he should have been up in the 5, 6, or 7 championship ranges. He's had great teams. He's been there several times. And he's essentially played on a weak East Conference. So his ticket to the NBA Finals has almost been stamped every season. So that's why I have him at number 8. And then at number 7, this is where I have Shaquille O'Neal. Okay, the reason I have Shaq higher up on this list is because, for God's sake, he was 7'3". He was almost 300 pounds. He could bully anybody in the paint. And who's really going to stop him? Of course, he scored a lot of points. Of course, he blocked a lot of shots and got a lot of rebounds. Because he was the most athletic, aggressive, 7'3" man you could ever imagine on a basketball court. Nobody could bully him around. So, of course, with that being said, he probably should have won more rings than he did. He was on some pretty good teams as well. So, really, 3 championships for Shaq is kind of a disappointment. In my regards, anyway. So, at number 6, this is where I have Kobe coming in. Okay, Kobe Bryant was the next Michael Jordan. And I'm a big Kobe fan on the court. He did a lot of things that everybody sees, but he did a lot of things that people don't see. He led the NBA, or he led the Lakers in assists. He actually has more assists than Magic Johnson, which a lot of people will never even realize. He's the Lakers' leading scorer. And you're talking the Lakers. That's not a regular franchise. That's a franchise that can build the Hall of Fame on their own players. So, to me, he's easily the number 6 best player to ever play the game. And then at number 5, I have Tim Duncan. And the reason being is because Tim Duncan never really got hurt. He won his 6 rings. He showed up every night. He played 82 games so many times it's unheard of. He was a veteran of veterans, a professional of professionals, and to me, he was a mentor to many players that played before him and still to this day after him. Tim Duncan is easily the 5th best player to ever play in the game of basketball, in my opinion. At number 4, this is where I have Michael Jordan. And a lot of people have Michael Jordan as the greatest of all time, but let me just tell you right now, Michael Jordan did some great things. He changed the game of basketball, but he wasn't statistically the greatest of all time. He played with a very loaded team, and there was players that did things better and more than he did. And so let me explain. So if Jordan's the number 4 overall, who could be number 3? Well, to me, number 3 overall is Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain, he scored 100 points in a game. He was the face of the Lakers and created the icon that the Lakers are. He created that trademark. He was there in the beginning, and he essentially gave us our first title. He defined that center position like few others ever have. And Wilt Chamberlain is easily one of the greatest players to ever play the position or the game of basketball. So that leads me to number 2. Well, to me, the number 2 greatest player of all time is Magic Johnson. And the reason being is because few players can get on the court, can play all 5 positions at a Hall of Fame level. Okay, you're talking, he played point guard, he played shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. He both defensively, offensively. He was an assist icon, known for passing the ball behind his back, no look, Showtime Lakers. But he also, when he was asked to attack, to score, he did. He carried his Lakers to 5 championships and could have won a lot more had it not been for HIV. So to me, he's easily the 2nd greatest player to ever live. And if you don't believe me, just look at that smile and you'll understand. So that leads me to the number 1 player of all time. Well, if we're talking about the greatest basketball player to ever live, Well, that's easily Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And the reason being is because he won 4 high school championships, he won college championships, he won NBA championships. He's got scoring titles, rebound titles, defensive titles. He was the center of all time. He was the player of all time, the professional of all professionals. So when it comes to the greatest basketball player of all time, it's not Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, or any of them. The greatest of all time is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And that's hands down the easiest that you can think of. So with that being said, a few honorable mentions are Bill Russell, of course, he's in there. I'd say right outside the top 15. And I know he won a lot of rings, but the game just wasn't what it is today. So I have him just outside the top 15. So I hope you guys liked my list. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Please comment in the box below. Hit that bell for notifications. Like. And come find me on YouTube, Google+, Twitter, and much, much more. Peace. Knocking out.